Business news on the programme. Guess what? We're going to talk about Thomas Cook once again. One of our top stories of the day, of course, the collapse of Thomas Cook. And Brian Quinn is here from our business desk to explain exactly why the firm went under and also what it means for the travel market as a whole, Brian.
Well, Stuart, Thomas Cook, of course, had been struggling for years. He declared a nearly £1.7 billion loss just this past summer. Among the factors in that decline, heavy debt, rising fuel costs, political turmoil in destinations like Turkey, even recent heat waves that affected travel trends. But perhaps the main reason was a business model ill-suited for the internet age. Naomi Lloyd takes a closer look.
On the British High Street, but Thomas Cook, which dates back to 1841, is no more. So what caused it to go under? Well, the company was facing fierce competition from online travel booking sites and low-cost airlines. Its 500 retail branches, once an asset, had become an expensive encumbrance in the internet age. Plus, many holidaymakers now bypass travel agents altogether.
The concept of a tour operator that offers flights and accommodations has less success. The new trend is to buy a low-cost flight ticket on the internet and to book a hotel separately, and it's cheaper.
Thomas Cook has blamed a series of issues, including rising fuel costs, political unrest in destinations like Turkey, recent heat waves and Brexit uncertainty. In reality, the company had been struggling for years, barely avoiding collapse in 2011. By the end, Thomas Cook owed some €1.9 billion. 22,000 employees are set to lose their jobs, and thousands of hotels and their suppliers across 16 countries will be affected. One of the biggest losers is Chinese conglomerate Fosun, which owns Club Med and had pumped over €225 million into the firm in 2015. Last month, it agreed to contribute another $500 million to a rescue plan, with banks and creditors kicking in an additional $500 million. Still not enough to satisfy lenders who demanded another $225 million. The collapse follows a wave of bankruptcies in the travel sector, notably a string of low-cost airways. The irony is that Thomas Cook's airline business, which it had tried to sell, was profitable, but it wasn't enough to save the world's oldest travel firm.
And checking in on markets now, shares in Thomas Cook's main stakeholder Fosun Tourism Group down around 4.3% in Hong Kong. Wider Asian markets mostly in the red Monday as investors keep an eye on the U.S.-China trade war. Lower-level talks wrapped up in Washington on Friday with the Chinese delegation heading back earlier than planned. Japanese markets closed for the day. Hong Kong's Hang Seng, though, down around 0.75%, with the Shanghai Composite off nearly 1%. Kospi in Seoul breaking just even at the closing bell there. European indexes opening mixed, with rival travel firms like EasyJet, Ryanair, and Germany's TUI getting a big bump from their rival Thomas Cook's collapse. London's FTSE 100 barely in positive territory. The CAC 40 here in Paris down around 0.25%, with the Frankfurt DAX off by around 0.33% at the open. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is celebrating America's trade relationship with a different Pacific partner. On Sunday, the president brought Australia's prime minister along to tour a recycled paper factory in Ohio. That factory owned by an Australian billionaire who's investing billions of dollars in the U.S., creating thousands of manufacturing jobs. Trump drawing a marked contrast between Australia and some of the other countries with whom his administration has launched trade conflicts. Here he is.
Australia upholds the principles of fair and reciprocal trade. For this reason, America is committed to further growing, expanding, and strengthening, Scott, our trade and commerce relationships between the United States and Australia. And Mr. Prime Minister, I want to thank you for your commitment to fair trade policies that bring vast benefits and jobs to both of our countries, because that's what's happened, both of our countries.
And finally, for business, it's not just the travel industry that's hitting turbulence here in Europe. With just over a month before the UK is scheduled to leave the EU, the European car industry is pleading with negotiators to avoid a no-deal Brexit. Europe produces over 19 million vehicles per year, with the industry accounting for roughly 1 in every 16 EU jobs. Trade groups say preparing for Brexit has already cost the industry billions and is weighing heavily on investment.
The uncertainty is really having a crippling effect on the industry. Business needs certainty to plan for investments, and in the automotive industry, our lead times are quite long. So we need to make decisions about where we're going to place new models in which plants across Europe, and some of those decisions are now long overdue. We desperately need certainty of a deal so that that investment can come through and we can start getting more jobs and more production happening in the UK.
Some interesting timing with that Thomas Cook collapse there, Stuart. 1 month before Brexit there, as if we didn't have enough to worry about.
Exactly. 1 month to go. It's about 5 weeks, isn't it? Not very long. Thank you very much, Brian. Brian Quinn with The Business on France 24.